Hi guys, that's me, Robbie, and today let's talk about self-practice again, once more. I've published loads of blog posts and I've made loads of videos about the importance of practicing spoken English with yourself. And this video is once again dedicated to the same topic, to the same subject, right? And let me remind you why it's very important. It's very important because you've got to be speaking all the time, as much as possible, as frequently as possible. The moment you open your eyes, you've got to force yourself to verbalize your thoughts in English, otherwise you won't become truly fluent, That's what I've been doing for the last years. How many years? 5, 6, I've forgotten, but for a long, long time, I've been speaking with myself whenever I've been able to, I'm taking every single opportunity to do it, despite the fact that I'm working in an English-speaking company. So I'm basically spending my whole day in an English-speaking environment. My work colleagues are English-speaking people, they're natives, There are only a handful other foreigners. So I'm basically spending my whole day with other native English speakers, which for some would be more than enough, Some of you may think, hold on, like if you're speaking English 8 hours a day, why on earth would you have to top up that immersion with self-practice, you know what I mean? But I'm telling you, it's necessary. If you want to be truly fluent, if you want to be able to speak spontaneously, if you want to get into the habit of thinking in English, you just got to do it. And during that self-practice, throughout all those months and years to come, you'll definitely come across different fluency issues, You'll find that on certain days you won't be able to verbalize your thoughts as clearly as normally, You'll feel your native language interfering with English in your head and as you speak and so on and so forth. But all those problems can be overcome, And that's what my blog is all about. That's what my English Harmony project is all about, To help you guys to speak fluently, spontaneously, automatically, and freely, And behind all this is long, long hours, hundreds of hours, probably even thousands of hours, practice, self-practice. Okay. Say, for instance, you're married or you go out with a native English-speaking girl or a guy. If you're a girl, then probably you wouldn't be needing self-practice at all, If you are fully immersed into the English language 24/7, 365, then that's grand. That's a different story altogether. That's a whole new ball game. But I'm talking about those of you foreigners. Did you notice I said those of ye? It's a typical Irish way of referring to you in a plural form. Irish don't say, conversationally, they don't say you, but ye. Anyway, that's straying off topic a little bit because I live in Ireland, you see. Anyway, what was I talking about? Jesus Christ, let's roll back. Right before I said ye, I was saying that for those of you, I remember now, sorry guys. Those of you who aren't immersed in the English language the whole day long, definitely, you just need to have additional practice. And if you've been following my blog posts and my videos for a while, you'll know that the spoken word is the most important thing you have to be focused on, It's not writing, not reading, it's a speech that is going to make you fluent down the line. So that's what you've got to be focused upon. Of course, you have to do your reading. If you have English grammar textbooks and materials like that, you sure can study them every now and then to spruce up your grammar a little bit, you know what I mean? But most importantly, you need to develop your spoken fluency, because at the end of the day, that's what fluency is all about. When you communicate with other people in real life, it's all about speech. Speech comes first, and writing and reading comes second, you know what I mean? I'm not saying you have to neglect those specific areas of your English language, but you've got to develop everything with spoken fluency as the most important aspect in mind. So basically, you've got to speak all the time, as much as possible. That's my advice, and that's what's going to further your English improvement like nothing else would, you know? You've got to speak a lot. And probably the best idea is to get a hold of a camera, like one I'm having now. It's quite cheap these days to get a camera, and you can record videos of yourself speaking, because it would probably make more sense than just sitting in a room and having a conversation with yourself, you know. At least if you have a camera in front of you, you're under impression that you're probably talking to someone, you know, as giving an interview or whatever, you know what I mean. So that camera might pose as another person, you know. It replaces the other person you're talking to, you know. So it might make it a little bit easier, you know, for you to handle mentally. But anyway, personally, when I wake up in the morning, the very second I wake up, I start thinking in English, you know. I start speaking with myself in a quiet voice, you know, just whisper to myself when I go about my daily routine, you know. That's what I do all the time. And that's why my English is as developed as it is, probably. Okay, I know that there are hundreds of thousands of more fluent English speakers than I am, but compared to what my English used to be years ago, you wouldn't actually recognize that it's the same person speaking, you know. I was struggling big time, you know. I was quite knowledgeable when it came to vocabulary, grammar, all those aspects, writing, reading, no problem. But when I spoke, I was not fluent at all. I would stutter, I would get stuck in the middle of my conversation, not being able to use the right word, and even if I could recall the words I wanted to use, I couldn't stick them together properly, and I would make mistakes all the time and go back and correct myself, which is not a bad thing in itself, but my speech was so messed up, and only because of self-practicing, I believe. It's not what I believe, I know it works, because I've been doing that, and I warmly advocate you, suggest you do the same thing if you want to become fluent, if you want to get better jobs, if you want to get better in terms of your social life, you know, improve your social life, go out with English-speaking friends, and so on and so forth, you know. Say, for instance, you migrated to an English-speaking country, and you feel, for the most part, like an outcast when being among English speakers because of your bad language or whatever, you know what I mean. Language is not everything, of course. Oftentimes it's about your personality, you know. Your English might be very bad, but if you don't actually care about that aspect, but if you are a very outgoing person, very extrovert person, it won't really matter, you know what I mean. You'll be able to mix with any people, any guys or girls or work colleagues, wherever you go, you'll be one of the crowd. But if you're a little bit self-conscious, your English skills, your spoken English skills will play a big role in the whole thing, you know, in making you part of the English-speaking society and increasing your confidence and opening doors to more prospects in your future life, you know. So basically, I've been blabbering on for, 6-7 minutes. but the message is still the same. You've got to do a lot of speaking, and that's the only way to achieve English fluency. Because basically, if you want to be able to speak, you've got to speak. You know, there are no shortcuts. It's the same as in any practical discipline. You know, say for instance you're an athlete, you know, a runner, a sprinter, a fitness person, whatever. If you want to improve your performance, you've got to train, you've got to exercise, you've got to train all the time. You know, you think world records in running have been beaten by just running a few times? Of course, those guys have been running for years. Same thing applies on your English speech. You've got to exercise your mouth. This is the most important body part for a foreign English speaker. Your mouth is your muscle, and you've got to exercise it on a daily basis, you know, so that eventually you can reach fluency you've always dreamed of. Okay guys, thanks for watching this video, and see you soon again. Bye.